actually hurt.
No, I think she is.
Yeah, she's hurt. She took a hard fall off there. Boy, gosh, I hope she's okay.
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Here we go. It's the Daily Puck Drop on this Friday, your daily sports podcast that comes live. And then, of course, it's a podcast later. How about that? You can watch us live on YouTube, also on X and the Puck Sports mobile app. Download it to your smartphone today. We appreciate you joining us every single day as we broadcast inside the Limbach Lumber Studios. Contractors, they're going to take care of you. Everyday people, they're going to take care of you. Paul and the crew down there, they might be the nicest group of men and women I have ever met in my entire life. And when you go to Limbach Lumber down there in historic old Ballard, you'll walk in there. They've been doing business since 1930. In fact, the walls behind Limbach Lumber, where they store all the lumber, you know who painted those walls? Hugh Breedlove Millen. Why? Because it used to funnel money for the Husky football team. But we don't talk about that with Limbach Lumber because now it's all legal. But they are the best. It's a shrine to the sports history as well when you go in there at Limbach Lumber. But they are the best in the business. Buy local if you can, please. Don't go to the big ones. You know the big ones. Don't go there. You can never get a hold of somebody when you go in those big stores. And they don't even know what they're talking about. The folks at Limbach Lumber know what they're talking about. Give them a call. Tell them Puck sent you, 206-782-3487, or visit them at limbachlumber.com. In fact, if you go in there right now and say, I found out about you guys from Puck Sports and the Daily Puck Drop, they're going to give you a free T-shirt. They don't know it yet, but they're going to give you a free T-shirt there at Limbach Lumber. You can follow the show on the social media platforms, Puck Sports everywhere. And then on TikTok, it's Puck_sports. And you can find all of our work up at pucksports.com, including signing up to become a member of the Pucks Posse, which supports everything we do here daily. Plus, we give you bonus shows every single week, like an emergency sports bit that came out yesterday with Steve Sandmeyer, Matt Stretch Johnson, ALCS Game 4 preview, that Matt Stretch Johnson jinxed Max Scherzer. You have to go back and listen to it to find out how he jinxed. Well, it didn't jinx Max Scherzer, jinxed the Mariners. Ladies and gentlemen, on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we are graced. Last time we talked to him, he's at a golf course. This time he's back in the shed in Bend, Oregon. It is the go-to guy, James Moore. Hello, sir.
Hey, Puck. My appearances here at pucksports.com brought to you by Brad Brotherton at Brotherton Cadillac in Shoreline and Brotherton Cadillac, Brotherton Buick GMC in Renton. Family-owned hospitality. It makes a difference at Brotherton Auto. They're committed to exceeding your expectations in the car buying business. So check them out at brothertonauto.com. Brian Turner, you know all about Brian Turner. He runs a cleaning business there in Oak Harbor called The Clean Streak. He also has a Christmas lighting business. Don't dangle from your rooftop this year. Don't fall off a ladder. Call Brian Turner, okay? He'll come all the way down to King County this year. 360-675-2034 or visit brightowllighting.com. And today, go watch the Mariner game at 3 o'clock at the Angry Beaver. Matt Baker will be behind the bar and say, hey, Matt, Jim told me you'd give me a shot of Fireball. How about it? Let's go. Go M's. The Angry Beaver, you know what's great about going to the Angry Beaver today? Happy hour from 4 to 6, $2 off drinks and everything on the menu. So head over there to the Angry Beaver in Greenwood today and watch the Mariners win Game 5. I'm putting $100 on the M's today because I believe still. I still believe.
And if you ask Matt Baker nicely about the happy hour starting at 4 and say, I'm here for the Mariners game, he'll start it at 2:45.
He will. He'll do anything you ask him to do.
He'll start it at 2:45. There we go. All right. How are we feeling? How are we feeling? Before, actually, I asked you a question, and then I'm going to ask you to pause for the answer. I want to set up what's coming up. In about 10 minutes, we're going to do a surprise emergency visit with Ryan Divish. Inside Pitch with Divish will join us to get the very latest, the mood, set the scene for a pivotal, most important Game 5. And you can make an argument in Mariners history, really. Tonight in Seattle, between the M's and the Blue Jays. After that, we get into football. Todd Milles joins us Friday Night Lights to preview the top games in the state of Washington tonight. And then it's the last word with Mr. Hoodie himself, Bob Condotta, on your Seattle Seahawks. All right, let me go back to my original question. How you feeling?
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
When is a game not pivotal? It seems
they're
like
all
I've heard
pivotal.
that. it's like
Every
it's like
damn game's
game 1
pivotal.
was pivotal. Game 2 was pivotal. Hey, how about game 8? Is game 8 pivotal?
Yeah, it is. They're all pivotal. Every game's a must-win. This one feels important tonight.
I thought about at Substack, you know how I always, whatever it is, Jim Moore, the go-to guy.substack.com. Like having a glossary for casual fans who aren't really up to snuff, with what's going on when they hear all these different terms, and pivotal would be one of them.
Pivotal.
Pivotal. You just hear it all the time, everywhere. Tonight, it's really super pivotal, I think, as opposed to just basic pivotal.
Yeah, it's pivotal. It's pivotal and a must-win. It's a must-win pivotal game.
But it's not a must-win.
It's about as close to a must-win as possible.
Why?
Well, because then Toronto in their home stadium has 2 opportunities to win the series. So, yeah.
But you've won there twice.
Yeah, I understand that. But they've got all the momentum. So, yeah, I think it's a must-win.
I'd like it if somebody came out, with it. It's a must-lose tonight.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, the actual 100% verbiage of it, you are correct. But they need to win in front of their fans.
Well, it's rare for me to take a positive approach. I mean, you know that. I'm usually negative and looking at I can see, clouds on a sunny day. But this team, aren't they just weird that way? Schizophrenic or whatever you want to call them. We've seen them go on winning tears. We've seen them go on losing tears. You don't know which team's going to show up from night to night. They won 17 out of 18. Why do you think that they're going to lose tonight just because they lost the last 2 games? I mean, the Mariners always do the unexpected, don't they?
Well, they generally respond when their backs are against the wall. And then on the flip side of it, they've done this all year long where they've gone on the road. They've won a bunch of games. They come back. Everyone's excited for this homestand, at different points of the season. They're about to overtake the Astros, and then they fall flat at home. I mean, they did that all year. They've done that all year, and they've done that for the last few years. It's always been that this momentum builds up, and then they not so much as bad this year, maybe in years past, but I think for fans, I understand the angst for fans in this market. I mean, you and I grew up here. I mean, I don't know if you have to have grown up here to understand, but there's a lot of angst and people are on edge because of what they're on the cusp of doing. And, people have lived their whole lives waiting for this moment. Your mother's 96 waiting for this moment. And when they got up 2-0, I think people got, and it's expected. They got excited. They're like, oh my God, there's no way we're going to now lose this series. And then all of a sudden now it's a 3-game series. It's, now anything can happen. And I think people are scared. I think people are real nervous because they're just anticipating the worst to happen. So I think for people who have moved here but have been here for a while and don't understand that, they just don't understand the psyche of the fan of the Mariners.
Yeah, Puck, when we talked on Wednesday, I was right in line with you thinking, hey, they took 2 games there in Toronto. They're going to be fine. They'll probably win 2 or 3. Win in 5 and move on to face the Dodgers. And we had no reason to think otherwise, other than the history of the Mariners losing and the fact that the Blue Jays are a hell of a good team, and that wasn't really them in Toronto, and you expected them to have some fight when they came to Seattle. But not enough fight to beat the Mariners here 2 games the way they did. At least you didn't see that in those first 2 games from them. Yeah. But, boy, I mean, you look at it now, at the time we were going, the Mariners have better starters, better bullpen, better lineup 1 through 9. Now you think about, why'd we say that? Because you look at it and you go, well, 1 through 9, I'd take Toronto's lineup over Seattle's lineup right now. Potentially that Seattle's lineup might be better than Toronto's, but they haven't been this week. And are they going to snap out of it in time? So now you look like, God, you look like idiots for saying all the stuff we said on Wednesday, and now we're shifting gears going, God, I hope they can pull it out. My mom, I think a lot of Mariners are feeling this way. I talked to my mom last night since you mentioned her. She's like, she's putting it in the past tense. Like, she goes, Jimmy, at least they got, close to getting to the World Series. This is the closest they've ever gotten this year. I'm going, Mom, that's past tense. It's 2-2. It's 2-2. It's even. One team has won 2 games, and the other team has won 2 games. It's even though it doesn't feel like it is. It feels
it
like
doesn't.
It feels like I feel like a Brewers fan right now. Don't you?
Well, I think that's the problem right now. It doesn't. You forget those first 2 games quickly, right? Because there was so much momentum. I mean, baseball is. Listen, we all got ahead of ourselves. I didn't. Maybe I thought they were going to sweep. I just thought there's a good chance that they had a really, really good chance of sweeping them based on the pitching matchup. But we did, if you go back and listen and watch, there was this caveat that at least I kept saying was Shane Bieber could easily turn back the clock to the Shane Bieber of a couple of years ago. He was a Cy Young Award winner. And then when dealing with Scherzer, and I think I asked the question too, was like, can he turn back the clock to Max Scherzer, to Mad Max? And he did that. Now, again, he wasn't dominant. I mean, he walked 4 guys, and he was kind of all over the place a little bit. But this free swinging offense made him look really good. And it's my biggest concern. I remember doing the show with Sandmeyer and Stretch, the Sports Pit, as we previewed the playoffs. And we went around and said, well, what's your biggest concern? And my biggest concern with this team going into the playoffs was they rely too much on the long ball, way too much. And that has come to fruition in this series. They rely way too much on the home run. They don't string together hits. They rely on a hit and a walk and then the 3-run home run. They don't go double, single, walk. They don't do it. And that's the weird. They've preached that for the last few years. That's what they want to be, and they don't do it. So that's alarms me. If they don't hit a home run, they don't get a lot out of their offense. And their offense minus, Julio, Cal to a degree, Polo and Naylor haven't done anything. JP's 154 with a 297 OPS. Canzone, 077, a 154 OPS. Suarez, a 607 OPS. Randy, a 611 OPS. With Randy, now it's too late to do anything now. You're not going to make any changes. But we talked about this in the season. Both you and I agreed. He's not a leadoff hitter. He's just not. The fact, and you're going to say, well, who should they put up there? Well, I mean, I think JP's always been a guy that I'd hit leadoff, but it's too late to change it now. His numbers this year.
Let me just interrupt you there.
Hold on. No, hold on. Let me just finish, and you can interrupt me. His numbers as a leadoff hitter are terrible. Terrible this year. It's awful. And why they have run him out there all year long in that position is, I don't know. Don't get it. Okay.
Let me interrupt for a second.
Sure.
Why I was thinking about that today when I was walking down by the river. Why would and I tend to agree with you that you shouldn't make any drastic changes with the lineup and go ahead and ride it out with Randy and think that maybe he's going to be Mr. Playoffs like he was back in 2020 or whatever you want to do to rationalize keeping him in the leadoff spot. But if you're going to treat your pitching staff differently, and that's the way they've been treating their pitching staff differently. Like Castillo wouldn't have come out of that game in the middle of August. There's no way. And so if you're going to do that, and if you're going to yank starters real quickly, have a quick hook, why can't you change the order? Just say, hey, Randy, love you, love the arms folded, love everything about you. I don't really like the lollygagging after balls in left field sometimes, but generally speaking, Randy, we all love you. Randy Land, all that. But we're going to have you hit number 9 tonight, or whatever. Have him hit 7. But if you're going you change pitchers in October, why can't you change your lineup? Why can't you move Randy down?
You know what? I actually agree with you. I do. I don't really quite understand why you can't make changes. I guess maybe I fell into the trap of, well, you can't do it because they've done it all year long. I tend to agree. It's what I wanted to see yesterday. Dom Canzone shouldn't have played yesterday. He just shouldn't have played, and they should have gone to a different lineup. They added, the Polo was in there.
Got a hit.
Okay, he's got a 154 OPS.
Okay, well, if he didn't play, who do you have then?
Robles.
You want to see Garber again?
No, Robles and right.
Well, what's so good about Robles?
He's a better defender.
Okay,
has he been a better hitter than Canzone? Well,
not since he came back from his injury.
He has struggled, but he is night and day a better defender.
Do you think Victor Robles is going to get a hit when he stands in the box? I don't.
Well,
and
okay.
I'm not really criticizing the guy. I feel bad for him. He's missed most of the season. He went into that net in San Francisco, and he's come back. But he's not the same player since he came back.
I understand that. But if they're both going to suck at the plate, I'm going to take the better defender.
Okay.
Let's get
Dom Canzone hit 3 home runs in one game this year, though.
Okay. Well, hopefully he does it tonight. Let's get to Inside Pitch with Ryan Divish. I believe he's on his way to the ballpark. Are you driving and doing this episode? Yeah. Hi, Divish. How are you?
I'm parked on I-5 going towards the West Seattle Bridge exit.
Okay.
If I had a bazooka right now, I would just start blasting trucks.
Okay.
Move back to Montana, Divish.
If I had a rocket launcher, I would start blasting vehicles out of my way. I hate everyone.
Okay, well, that seems to be the theme today for a lot of people. There's a lot of hatred that's going around right now in the city of Seattle. Let's revisit last night's game, and I think we haven't touched on it yet. I mean, his facial expression said it all when he came out of the game. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Walk me through the decision to pull Luis Castillo.
Yeah, he was just throwing it right down the middle. I posted the StatCast pitches of the balls that were put in play. It looked like the letter I right down the middle of the plate. You can't throw it there. And I think they just thought it was one of those situations where they didn't want to let it get out of hand. And I wouldn't say it's reactionary to the moment, but I think Dan Wilson saw what happened with Kirby, where it started to spiral, and all of a sudden you're down 5, and he didn't want to let that happen. So he goes and gets Spire to face Varsho. And you don't expect Spire to walk that guy. You really don't. And I think, but it's also a really tough situation coming in with bases loaded. So I think Castillo was not pleased. I think he felt like he'd earned the right to try and figure his way out. And I think it just showed kind of a lack of trust in where he's at right now. But also sometimes I don't know that it's necessarily fair that you look at the pitcher you have that day and base a decision because you don't want to have something happen what happened the day before, But I wasn't surprised. Like when he started giving up the hard contact, I said, you probably should get somebody up. I didn't have a problem with it, maybe the way Castillo did, just because it didn't look like he had it. I did think, even with the reverse splits that George Springer has, letting Spire pitch to Springer with first base open was a mistake. Even if you walk him, that's fine, then bring Brash in. But once you commit to the leverage, once you're pot committed, and you have your leverage guys up and throwing, then you can't be afraid to go to him on hurt batter. Like I think that's one of Dan's biggest faults at times is that he wants his players to know that he trusts them, and he also will try and steal one more out. It's like, okay, Gabe Spire did this. It's helped. It's been good. Let's see if we can just get one more out, and then we'll make the move. When if you're just hoping to get an out, then maybe you shouldn't make the move. You should make the move then, instead of hoping that a guy in a situation you don't love is going to perform when you already have another guy up that like if you're willing to bring in Brash to face Guerrero, you certainly should be willing to bring in Brash to face Springer, who's been just as much of a pain in the ass in the series.
Hey, Brian, why if it's okay to mess around with the pitching and treat the pitching staff differently in the postseason, why do we get this feeling that you can't do the same thing with the lineup? And in particular, Randy Rosarina and trying somebody else at leadoff?
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't think that's as big of a deal. The one thing is like, because you have Cal, it's a switch hitter batting behind him. It's like the whole idea. I think part of it is it sets up the middle part of the order. If you look, they kind of go back and forth, between left and right and switch. So you're not so a reliever that's really tough on one side doesn't have any advantage. You don't give the whole pocket for a reliever that might, like that blue, I don't know, whatever, Flu Hardy or whatever, the lefty, a pocket of 3 lefties in a row or something like that where you're forced to make a move because they make a move. I think they like the balance of that, but at the same time, it's not like you can't put Randy somewhere else, move some guys around, because what you don't want it to affect is and it doesn't really, is your core of Cal, Julio, Polo, and Naylor in a row, and they bounce those guys around a little bit based on if it's a lefty starter or righty starter. But yeah, I mean, like, I thought the perfect example of where Randy is at is Rivas works the walk on 5 pitches. That was Scherzer's 3rd walk of the game, and then Randy gets up and swings at the second pitch of an at bat that wasn't a good pitch and flies out to left. Like, hey, read the room, dude. Like you give up runs, all of a sudden you're down. You got to start stacking base runners, and you know what? You've got a guy that hit 62 home runs behind you, and another guy that hit 30 some behind him, who have been better in the series. Like, so show some humility and take till you get a strike. But that's not who he is. That's not who he is, and he's not going to change. I mean, it's like we always joke that Randy never changes his approach if there's a runner on third less than 2 outs. He's still trying to hit it over the wall or out of the park, not like over the wall, like literally out of T-Mobile. He doesn't just try and get a ball in the air. There's no change in his mindset for situational hitting. And I think, and because of that, that's why I don't think he's great as a leadoff guy. I think they stuck him there because of how some injuries and stuff were. I never thought it was a great fit, but for a while there, when Cal and Julio are going, you don't want to disrupt things in front of them either. Like you're worried that moving Randy out of there, putting somebody else there might disrupt what they're getting. But then again, Randy's the guy who also had to be told multiple times to stop trying to steal second with Cal at the plate. So I don't know. I heard the complaints about Randy as a player from people, from scouts, everything else. And I'm like, yeah, but he's really, really good. But when you watch it on a daily basis, you can understand why, like, there are times where teammates or, organizations get frustrated with him because it's just the same way all the time. And there doesn't seem to be any changes to what the moment desires.
It's a special inside pitch, driving angry with Ryan Divish from the Seattle Times. I'm just waiting for him to honk or yell at somebody as he's making his way up to T-Mobile for Game 5 between the Mariners and Blue Jays. I mean, I think along those lines there, that what you just brought up, Divish, there with Randy would be this, that, the one thing that stood out to me was, there was a ball hit in the corner. I think it's in the 3rd inning. We'll get to the Verducci jinx in a second. He jogged to the ball. The ball in the dirt in the 5th inning after Scherzer struck him out. It gets away from Kirk. Again, I know most guys don't run anymore. It's not Little League and all that. But at least do a fucking effort. An effort up the line. Just an effort. Show that you have a little bit of pride and run up the line. And he didn't do that. And then the other baseball awareness plays, and I love Leo Rivas. You can't get picked off at first base with the tying run at the plate. You just can't do that. And then on top of that, I love Josh Naylor. He's aggressive. I get it. It took an unbelievable throw. I love Naylor, so maybe I'm not going to kill him too much. But, Jesus, you had, again, the tying run coming to the plate, and you get thrown out at third. It's, just little stuff like that, Divish, add up to why this series is tied at 2 games apiece.
Well, first of all, Randy Land wasn't a promotion that Tampa Bay created. Randy Land was a state of mind that his teammates called it. And then they pulled it from there. It was kind of the running joke. He's in Randy land. And then the marketing people in Tampa heard about Randy land, but they use it in a different way. The Naylor thing, that wasn't a spectacular throw. It was a great throw. Don't get me wrong. Addison Barger was a pitcher as well coming up. They gunned him from the outfield throwing 97 miles an hour. He didn't even load up. Like there was no hop and like full, like let it go. That's how good his arm is, that he picked it up, got rid of it quick, and threw a one-hop seed, and I mean, it wasn't even close. Like right when they got the hit, when Suarez got the little dinker hit, you're thinking, oh my God, Suarez got help. You're thinking, okay, now they can go, because you're going to have a runner on second, runner on first. You're forcing them to make some plays. Their pitchers to make some pitches. You've got some opportunity to score. You cannot, because you're already in scoring position. What is the rule? Never make the third out at third base. Never make the first out or the third out at third base. Why? You're already in scoring position. You're going to score. I think it's so just kind of like, wow. And what it does is it's disheartening to a team. Same with like Rivas getting picked off. Guy made a great move, and Rivas, I don't know if he was looking to steal. I mean, there haven't been a lot of running opportunities in this series, because unlike some teams during the regular season, the Blue Jays understand that the Mariners are trying to steal, so they control the running game. I just think the Mariners aren't playing well enough offensively, and they're not getting good enough pitching to offset the mistakes they're making at times. You look at it, they made some defensive plays, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, now let's make some mistakes on the bases. Like, it's just the level they're playing at home is not what we saw even in the first series or in the first two games in Toronto. I just think it's been pretty sloppy in a lot of ways, and just kind of not indicative of who they are. But that's just there are issues right now. And then again, like I wrote last night, they come out and win today and they play well, all is fine, all is well. Then you're one win away again. But I mean, that's, they come out of Toronto, you need to win 2 games in 5. And the last thing you think they're going to do is, one, lose both to start this homestand, because they've been really good at home, but lose in a way where you're freaking punting and pitching guys because you're trying to save relievers.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And like, I understood why Dan went to the bullpen early, because like, hey, we're going to stop this. We want to keep it a close game. We want to keep it a 1-run game. His pitchers haven't executed. They're missing middle. And when you miss middle against the Blue Jays, they don't just get hits. They get extra base hits. Vlad Guerrero is hitting missiles all over the park right now. And you better be aware where he's at. So like, that's another thing that I think has been a problem. They haven't been aware enough of where he's at so that they can do stuff to neutralize him. I don't know if it's arrogance or just the way the innings are set up, but you better know where he's at, and you better make sure that the guys in front of him aren't getting on. But when Andres Jimenez and IKF and Ernie Clement are constantly on base or hitting home runs, then you have a problem. I mean, that's because you already know that Vlad's going to get his if you pitch to him. He's that good. It's like, I know he went 0 for 6 or 0 for 7 in Toronto, but there were some loud outs in that 0 for 7.
But Ryan, this is probably crazy to say. Everybody seems to think the Mariners are going to lose today and maybe lose big like they have in the first 2 games there at T-Mobile. But isn't that a good reason to think that they're actually going to win? Because they're so damn unpredictable. They've been unpredictable all year.
Yeah, I mean, every time you write them off, you think they find a way to win. And this is the way they played in this series is very similar to, or in these 2 games, is very similar to what I saw when they dropped 3 in Tampa and they looked bad on that road trip. So, I think this is kind of, they have the ability to bounce back really quick, partially because they can bounce back really quick because they can hit homers. I mean, like, you hit a homer, you hit a 3-run bomb, it changes the math in a game really quickly. But I don't know. You just look, they have too many guys that are just outs right now, and they're not. Some of them aren't even competitive at bats, and that's the other thing. Like when the Mariners were rolling right, they got contributions from all their lineup, and you just haven't seen it. You know, you guys were listing off who hasn't been performing. I mean, it's pretty obvious. And the one thing is though, is Dan's not going to change because part of what they like is his consistency, and so like he's going to roll out that lineup. I mean, you could argue honestly that the idea of Randy hitting leadoff should have ended in about August because he's not been very good since about August 1st. I mean, he really hasn't. So I don't know. I think, you know, I don't think you'd see that, but I mean, then again today, it's like Randy, they leave a wrong pitch, he hits it out right away. I mean, like, you just don't know with these guys. I mean, I've never seen a team that can go and look so unbeatable to so like meh real that quickly. But you know, because like everybody's like saying last night, oh, the Mariners just are having life, they look lifeless compared to the Blue Jays. Well, when you're getting on base and running around the bases and getting hits, you look like you're full of life. When you're punching out, yeah, you look lifeless because there's nothing going on, and they just have had too many punch outs.
Ryan Divish.
Ryan, is what you're doing worse than texting and driving? Doing this interview?
No, I mean I'm parked now. I'm in the parking garage.
Yeah, we can barely see. You're in the dark. It's like we're talking to like Deep Throat, you know. Back in the, it's okay. It's fine. This is great. I'm glad you were able to make your way to the stadium without yelling or honking really at anyone. It's a special inside pitch with Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times.
I was coming from SeaTac, and then because my family is in town and they needed to rent a car today because they got stuff going on, and I'm here and I got to fly to Toronto. And I was trying to book a flight earlier while you guys were talking, and so I don't know. I'm a zoo. Okay.
What's the expectation? So it's Miller starts. Do we figure that's when Bryan Woo? Does Bryan Woo piggyback Bryce Miller this afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, like I think if Bryce, you know, second time through the order, if he's got any, like if there's some hard contact or anything on the second time through the order, they may pull him and go to Woo. You know, the one thing is they would probably use maybe Brash or somebody if there was like a leverage situation when Bryce, like say Bryce gets in trouble, there's a runner on second. I don't think they'd bring Woo in to pitch when there's traffic on. I think they'd wait to have a clean inning, so they may use a leverage guy early and then to clean up the inning and then let Woo come in with a clean inning.
Don't you expect Miller to be good today? Because I heard Logan Gilbert talking about him. He feels like he's made for moments like these.
Well, yeah, because I don't think Bryce allows the moment to get too big. He's the same guy every day. So, I mean, IBS with him the other day. He was fine. I mean, like again, you need those people that are kind of consistent, but really Castillo is kind of like that too. Kirby is the one who gets a little amped up and a little, you know, the emotions can get the best of him at times, but yeah, I just look, it's funny as in both those games they lost, they led right away. They took early leads and just, you know, just couldn't sustain.
All right, Divish, we appreciate it. I know you're busy today. You got a lot going on. You got to get in there. There's a bunch of interviews taking place pregame. We appreciate the visit. Great driving. A little 10-2 next time. I saw just a lot of little one-hand driving. Let's get 10-2 next time. All right, thank you, Divish.
You can't give people the finger if you got both hands on the wheel. All right, and I had some road rage earlier on 167 and then the exchange at 405, but I was pretty good otherwise.
Good job. All right, Divish, we'll see you. Thank you.
See you guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, again, Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times, a special Inside Pitch, his weekly appearance with us is always brought to you by Chalet Bowl, chaletbowl.com to book your next reservation. I thought you brought up a great point, and I fall into that trap a lot of just, you can't make changes. You know, why? You make changes all the time in sports. And, you know, if they want it, he's not going to do it. So maybe we shouldn't even waste time talking about it. But I don't think if you wanted to make a change in the lineup, I don't see why you can't. I mean, Randy he has not been a leadoff hitter all season long. They've gotten away with it. It's great. but he hasn't been. I mean, his numbers hitting in the leadoff spot have been awful this year. I mean, do people realize what they are? This is his leadoff numbers. 218. He's not getting on base. He's 302. And his OPS is 645. He's struck out 66 times. He's got 18 walks. That's not a leadoff hitter. You know who is a leadoff hitter? And he's only done it, I think, once or twice in his career. You know who it is? It's Josh Naylor.
Oh,
Josh Naylor would be
the good. Yeah, why
he'd
not?
be a great
Why not
leadoff
give it a
hitter.
try? Or just move Randy down and just kind of move the order up and have Julio hit leadoff again. That wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah, well, I don't. Maybe it's now.
Puck. Maybe Wilson feels like he's going to lose Randy mentally, emotionally if he messes with him and changes him and puts him down the lineup. Now, like normal people would be going, "Yeah, Skip, I get it. I've been struggling, and you need to try something different." So I'm game. Randy doesn't. Well, from what Divish is saying, he doesn't sound like he's the best team player in the clubhouse, and so maybe you risk, losing him even more than you've already lost him if you move him down. So maybe you don't want to mess with it.
Listen, I think he's a fan favorite for a lot of people. I think he's probably the most popular player from a fan perspective because of the home run thing he does, because he throws a lot of balls in the field. I would say from my perspective and look, he drives me crazy. He drives me absolutely crazy. The fact that he jogs the balls in the corner, the things he swings at. Again, I know it's a little thing, and people are going to say, "There's no way he would have made it to first base and all that." Fine, but at least have some effort. The ball was in the dirt and was bouncing away from Kirk, and he just gave himself up and walked to the dugout. Fuck that. Run your ass down to first base. Maybe Kirk bobbles the ball and throws it away.
Yeah.
But that effort it's just unacceptable. And at every level that you play baseball, it's unacceptable. And he does it routinely.
Well, and we assume things when we watch players like at the plate, like Randy, geez, just shorten your swing a little bit, especially with 2 strikes. And sometimes we're wrong with our assumptions, but when you have the beat writer who's there every day and knows the team and basically confirms your assumptions with Randy trying to, hit it to Mercer Island or whatever, then you just kind of go, well, geez, if I'm his teammate, I'm kind of going, yeah, Randy, you're cool and everything, and we do like you, but man, you need to be more of a team player. You need to be thinking about getting a bloop single and putting it in play every once in a while. Maybe if you don't strike out, you'll get a seeing eye single instead of a 4-6-3 double play or whatever.
Love a seeing eye single. And is it a lost art in baseball to choke up on the bat? Are we done with that? Is that not a thing anymore?
No, there's still a lot of guys who do it. I can't remember who it was recently that I saw choking up on the bat, and he was a power hitter. So yeah, I think it's still a thing.
Boy, Max Scherzer, who will be obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, 5 2/3, 2 earned runs. Man, I know he's on the other team, but God, when John Schneider came out there to maybe take him out, and he's like, "Fuck you, you're not taking me out." I'm like,
"Yep,
damn right, man." That, and then when they showed him in the pregame when he's in the dugout and he shouldered that assistant coach, like, "Get the F out of my way, man." That dude locked in. He was ready to go.
You see him in the post game close up. That brown eye, blue eye thing going on. Shit, it's Happy Halloween, everybody. I mean, God damn.
He was
scary. And Max Scherzer, I mean, if that's his last start, that'd be a good way for him to go out like Elway or something, in the Super Bowl. I mean, Max Scherzer winning that game.
And that's what I was fearful of, that he would turn it back.
Puck, other than the veteran experience, the veteran savvy, all that stuff, and Ortiz and all those guys talking about, especially Ortiz, how invaluable that experience is in the playoffs. And boy, did we get a display of that, because the numbers suggested that the Mariners were going to knock this guy around.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They didn't get through to him at all. He gave up, what was it they were saying? In his last 19 innings, in September.
He had
gave
an
up
ERA of
21
10.
runs.
Yeah, he had an ERA of 10.20. I mean, he did stuff yesterday. I mean, think of what happened. He had his first pickoff in 9 years. 9 years, his first
I
pickoff.
didn't hear that one.
Yeah. When he picked off Rivas, it was his first one in 9 years. 9 times. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're little Luis, I mean, you got to be just like one step off of first base with Cal Raleigh at the plate.
Yeah,
Don't
right.
you?
Yes, you can't make that out with him. The tying run up there. Yeah, I thought for sure they had the advantage in these last 2 games, and 2 guys turned back the clock. Both of them.
I called him Luis. He's Leo.
Now, Luis, Leo, doesn't matter. Christ, who cares?
Fuck,
No one's
they're
listening
gonna
anyways.
do it today, though. You don't.
All right.
You sound like you don't think they're going to do it.
Oh, how would I say that? I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all.
Oh, okay. You think they're going to do it?
I don't know. I don't know, but I'm going to go in the
I
series.
don't give a shit, man. I'm
The
putting
series-
$100 on him.
the
I'm
series-
going to put $100 on him to win the series too.
The series is not over. I think people that get doomsday like the series is over. I mean, God, it's 2-2. There's 3 games to go. Like, relax. I mean, I don't want to say relax, but like they turn around and win this afternoon. It's 3-2. You got 2 games to advance. I mean, they've already proved that they can win there. So, I mean, it's this like, oh my God, the sky is falling, and I'm going to yell and make a video and yell and scream and okay.
Yeah, but Puck, don't you think, like, let's say there's some guy in Louisiana last night that's like, hey, man, I think I'll just, hey, what do you think? I'm going to check out this ALCS Game 4 and see what the Mariners are all about. And then after watching that game, and maybe you watch Game 3 too, and you're probably going, man, these guys suck. How'd they make it this far?
Well, what's let them down is their pitching has let them down in the last 2 games, which has been their strength. And then their offense is just too reliant on the home run. That's their problem. It's just way too reliant on that. And if those guys don't deliver, they don't deliver the 2-run, 3-run home run like they did in Game 2, then it's feast or famine with them offensively.
Well, you know how much I love Ian Furness, right? I mean, we love Ian.
Yeah.
And I was listening to his show the other day, and he has that Joe Sheehan guy on, and I think Joe made a good point, and I'll just steal his stuff right here for Puck listeners. It's harder to get 2 or 3 hits in a row in the playoffs, and that's why they look for the launch angle guys who can do it with one blow. I mean, these pitchers, these teams are good, and so it's how often are you going to see the Mariners get 3 hits in a row, or any team at this point? Now, the Blue Jays are a good example of, yeah, it's possible, but the Mariners don't have a lineup of guys that are going to be putting the ball in play.
Well, but
especially against the caliber of pitchers they're facing in the playoffs.
But okay, but not this series. Who have they faced? They faced one guy, one legitimate guy. One.
I know,
Kevin
but
Gausman.
they've proven that they can beat an ace and they can get handcuffed by the number 5 starter. They're just that type of team. It's just that's why. I mean, honest to God, I should be betting everything I have on the Blue Jays tonight based off of what we've seen from them here in Seattle. But because the Mariners are so hard to figure out and unpredictable, that's why I think they're going to win tonight.
All right, let's get no Troy wins today. Troy had a prior commitment, but he did send in our picks. So we'll go over the picks here for Troy. For Troy Wins. Again, TroyWins.com. He's our handicapper. He likes tonight. He likes Louisville plus 11.5 against Miami. He likes the Puppies. He never bets against the Huskies. He likes the Huskies plus 5 against Michigan. He likes Tennessee plus 8 at Alabama. He likes the Cougs plus 17 at Virginia. And he's taking the Texans plus 3.5 at Seattle on Monday Night Football. His lock of the week are the Oregon Ducks minus 17 against Rutgers. Jim, what is your lock of the week?
Well, I'm ashamed of myself, and if you want to take my Coug card away, please do. But I'm going to go with the Huskies this week, getting points at Michigan. I just don't think Michigan's all that good, and boy, that Husky quarterback, he gives you a chance in every game. I hope I lose on that pick, but I like the Huskies getting points on the road at Michigan.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, good for you. I mean, that's.
Did I take your pick again?
You did not. You did not. I don't have a pick. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I don't know. This game's going to lose, but it's right there, and I'm going to take it because I'm all in on Team Dart and Team Scatabo. Give me the Giants plus 7.5 at Denver. I don't know. That's a terrible
And Scatabo's awesome, isn't he?
That's a terrible pick, but whatever. I'm going to take it anyways. Yeah, I love both Scatabo and Dart. It's great. All right, well, go M's. That's it for us. Hopefully that when we talk on Monday, that's crazy. We talk on Monday. It's when is game 7?
Game 7.
Game 7. That's right. Game 7 is Monday. Well, we'll see if we're preparing for a game 7 or the series is over one way or the other. Go M's, Jim Moore.
All right, go M's, go Cougs. Puck, have a good weekend.
Yeah, you as well. There he is, Jim Moore, with us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Brought to you by his army of sponsors: A Clean Streak, Brotherton Cadillac, and the Angry Beaver. All right, Friday football tailgate show now gets underway as we talk a little high school football. First with Todd Milles of Varsity WIAA News, and then it's the last word with Bob Condotta on your Seattle Seahawks. If it's fun you desire, it's fun you're going to get at Flat Stick Pub. It doesn't matter what the occasion is, whether it's date night, guys night, ladies night, or large group event, Flat Stick Pub's got you covered. They have 6 great locations across the Pacific Northwest, from Pioneer Square to Kirkland, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. All locations offer the best pub experience in Washington. 2 rules at Flat Stick Pub: drink local and have fun. Pretty simple. So if you like to have fun, love local beer, and great tasting food, make Flat Stick Pub your next spot. Visit them at flatstickpub.com.
Jones right up the middle, touchdown, Eastside Catholic. Rolling out is Cobb. Now he goes back.
Oh,
it's intercepted.
Oh, my goodness. And it
on the way.
Fast.
Jason Wilson could go. Yes. Touchdown, Irish. Rolling to the near side.
He's keeping it. He's in.
And he's in for the touchdown. Leo.
9, 8, 7, Moser. Has to go. 2 seconds. He puts it forward.
And here we go. It's Friday Night Lights with our good buddy Todd Milles, who again joins us every single Friday to talk high school football. And again, we love having Todd on every single week. If you caught up on the top games in the state. Todd, how are you on this Friday?
I'm doing well, Jason. I'm probably doing well than the collective fan base of the Seattle Mariners this morning.
That's right. We need to have you on here to get our minds, our attention off the Mariners and talk a lot of high school football. All right. As we do every single week, we go through a slate of games, some of the top games in the state tonight and this weekend. And also we get a couple of other storylines in high school football. There's a big storyline coming out of a decision that the WIAA made that we're going to get to before we wrap up, that you wrote about at varsity WANews.com. Before we get to the big games, tell everybody about the new website, where they can find it and what they're going to get with it.
Yeah, VarsityWANews.com. We're in our first year of covering the state of Washington. I come from 6 years at SB Live Washington, and we've sort of taken that blueprint from, covering the whole state of Washington. We're going to be in the Tri-Cities tonight. Lauren Smith and I covering Chiawana at Kennewick, the best game in the Tri-Cities this fall. Give you podcasts, we give you rankings, we give you notebooks, we give you a little bit of news, smiling faces. I mean, what more do you want?
Just it's the whole package. All right. So since you're going to be there, let's get to that game, and you're going to be on the dry side of the state, so good for you. Chiawana in Kennewick tonight, a heavyweight battle, both teams undefeated. What do you expect to see tonight?
Defense. First one up to 20 wins. I mean, you're talking about the two best, arguably the two best defenses in the Mid-Columbia Conference. Chiawana was in the state semifinals last year, could have easily been in the championship game, lost in overtime to Sumner. They return a fair amount of that defense. It's a tough defense to try and decipher. They come at all different angles. But Kennewick has a really experienced quarterback in Dominic Driver, kind of 2+ years of being under center as the starter. The interesting part of this is that Chiawana has made kind of a switch at quarterback mid-season. They've gone with a sophomore transfer from Oregon. His name is Emmett Osterdock. And I think a lot of that had to do with the guy that was starting, Gage Williams. He's this Herculean guy. He's 6'5", basketball player, big. they wanted to return him kind of their short yardage role from last year. He had 24 rushing touchdowns last year. It was a big reason they got as far as they did. So I think their lineup slots better, but this is game start 2 for Mr. Osterdock against a really good defense. It's a tough assignment for them, but if he can somehow minimize the mistakes, I like Chiawana in this game, but man, I've been to this game 2 years ago when they had 10 turnovers, Jason. So they unleash, man. They unleash on defense. But I do like them 17-10 in this game.
They hit a little differently over there in Eastern Washington. I'll tell you that. All right, let's go from that side of the state. Let's go way up north. This should be a great game tonight. Just great environment. It always is up in kind of the northern part of the state. Linden against Archbishop Murphy. Archbishop Murphy comes in undefeated 6-0, taking on a Linden team that's 5-1.
Yeah, we talked about Archbishop Murphy and Anacortes last week, and went to Anacortes and watched them. They're very Archbishop Murphy is very, very impressive. A lot better in person than I thought. They're tough to move the ball against. They completely dominated Anacortes, put them on running clock in the third quarter. I just didn't see that coming. The pass game of Anacortes, which I thought would get some big plays, just never materialized. Their pass rush is exceptional. I just don't see how Linden's really beat up. On one hand, their coach Blake Van Dalen really knows how to defend the wing T, which is the offense that Archbishop Murphy runs. Held them to under 100 yards last year in the regular season win. I just don't see how Linden's going to move the ball and score points. They're really beat up. Their best running back, Max Assink, has been out. Their best perimeter guy, Danny Baller's been out. So if Linden hopes to pull off an upset in Everett tonight, or Mill Creek, I should say, they're going to really have to play great defense. It's going to have to be a low-scoring game. I just don't see that happening with Archbishop Murphy's firepower. They can score from all angles with a lot of different guys. So I think Archbishop Murphy rolls, and it appears this might be their year in 2A, Jason.
This, our good friend Chris Egan and King 5, their big game of the week. They will be in Curtis at Curtis and Sumner. That game, Sumner comes in 3-3. It's not. You look at the record, and you're like, oh my God, they're 3-3, but they've lost to the 3 quality opponents. Curtis comes in at 5-1. What do you think? How does this one transpire tonight?
I think this is a really, really important game for Sumner. They've gone through some turmoil, especially since the blowout loss to Puyallup. They're the defending 4A state champs. They've gone through a couple defections in their coaching staff. They've changed their offense a little bit. They're more under center. And this is not the team that you want to try and get right on. I mean, Curtis is equally physical. They're not talked about a lot because, they've always sort of snuck into the playoffs, but they've got 4 linemen who are D1 prospects or commits. Well, let me go through these guys. I mean, these are names you don't hear a lot about. Jerome Scott, Kingston Kirchhoff, and then the brothers, Robbie and Rashawn Lavatai. 3 of them are 3-year starters, and the other one's a 2-year starter. So they can match up with Sumner's physicality up front. These 2 teams are a lot alike. Good run games and inconsistent quarterback play. This game is at Sumner. I do give the Spartans the edge at home. But these 3 games the past 3 years have been decided by a touchdown or less. And I expect that to happen tonight. I do see Sumner finding a way to win because they really need this game. If they go to 4 losses, they're kind of looking on the outside, outside in terms of looking in terms of some home playoff games and some WIAA RPI seeding. They cannot afford to drop another game here in the regular season.
How's my guy Brady J doing right now? Moses Lake's undefeated. They're taking on Eastmont. They're 4-1. But where's my guy Brady J as he continues to assault the single season passing record in the state of Washington?
Yeah, we had Brady J and his dad Brett J, the coach at Moses Lake. We had him on our podcast this week. That was a fun time. He's almost at 2,500 yards, 41 touchdowns. I think he's a little behind Kellen Moore's yardage mark, but I think he's right on pace for the touchdown record. This is a team that obviously needs to win a game or two in the postseason to maintain that pace. But I just really like the energy I get from that team. They're much better defensively, and he just hasn't been flustered. They do play their biggest test in 4A CBBN tonight. They play Eastmont, which is a team that likes to run the ball, plays physical, but I just don't see Eastmont even getting in the way of 6 or 7 touchdown passes from our guy Brady J, who's a Montana Grizz commit.
Go listen to the podcast, Varsity WA News. You can find it on all podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. He sits down with Brady and his father, who is also the coach there at Moses Lake. All right, before you go, you have this in your notebook section, again, at varsitywanews.com. Please go subscribe to the website. Todd and the crew are doing an amazing job with this website, covering high school sports and covering high school football. And in the bottom of the notebook is quick little blurb. That's not a quick little blurb, but the WIAA met back, I think, in June, and then had a ruling in September in regards to the Roosevelt football program that was placed on probation. People were, people lost their jobs. There was fines about recruiting violations, illegally bringing kids in. But they have decided to rescind those fines to those coaches, and I believe the athletic director, and in fact, they're even going to reduce the suspensions. What came out of that June meeting that led to that decision in September?
Well, you mentioned the June meeting. I think the WI felt pretty good about kind of lowering the boom on a case that many people were talking about throughout the season. It's interesting. In September, this is why there's an appeal process. And I talked to 2 people that were at the meeting in September here. It was the end of September. So it was a few weeks after they released the minutes of the meeting. And, I think what they did is, Sam Adams and Saul Patu, the kind of the 2 main coaches for Roosevelt, and their legal team kind of poked holes at the fact-finding report. Thought there was some incomplete interviews, some incomplete information, and also they kind of all of them kind of laid this at the feet of the principal, Tammy Brewer. As you can see, she's not mentioned in the report. Her fines were not rescinded. So Danny Thompson was a first-year athletic director, and it's interesting because in the June meeting, one of the executive board members is Tara Davis, who also works for Seattle Public Schools, had asked, hey, Danny Thompson's kind of the victim in this. He's a first-year athletic director. He doesn't really know a lot of the ins and outs of procedure. He's taking orders from Tammy Brewer. Well, we should probably cut him some slack. Well, they didn't. He maybe got the worst of it of all the Roosevelt parties. But he claimed that, he didn't get a lot of training from the administration. Same thing with Sam Adams in terms of handbook stuff and recruiting. They just kind of left some doubt in the mind of some of the executive board members, enough where it swayed the vote, a very close vote, in favor of a possible reduction of the 1-year suspension. That's based on some training that the Seattle Public Schools and the WIAA will co-op on and come up with a plan and probably institute here late November, early December. But they did rescind all the fines, as I mentioned in the story. And once the training's complete, there's a very good chance that all parties could be back coaching and administrating by January 1st. And I think that was a big shock to the people that were paying attention in June, going, hey, the WI sent a big message to people that want to kind of curb the rules, and this comes down, and I think people are just kind of shaking their heads and saying, wow.
I'm sure it was the mastermind of the school principal to come up with a recruiting procedure where we would just take in 30 plus kids based on a homeless rule. Yeah, I'm sure it was her, that she was the mastermind behind all of that. That's a real curious decision. And I mean, whatever, they made the call, but come on. I mean, that is just an absolute farce. Great job with that. Great job with the website, with the podcast, Varsity WA News, varsitywanews.com. Be sure to check out Todd tonight. Once all the games wrap up, he'll be at a truck stop, a diner. He'll be doing the podcast. He'll have Eric Curley on. Who else comes on every Friday night?
Matt Evans, who popular
Matt
with
Evans.
the computer rankings from the Tri-Cities. Yeah, so the
Yeah,
three of us, and we'll have a coach on. Yep.
Yeah, it's great. Great stuff. Best to you. Good luck tonight on that drive over. Enjoy the sunshine a little bit over there as it rains over here on Western Washington. Thank you, Todd. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Thanks, Jason. Go Mariners.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
You know that if you prepare well, your team is probably going to play well. You're not always going to win, but they're going to play hard. And they're going to go out there and give good performance. You can live with that.
Today we're going to talk about our next opponent.
Here we go. It's the last word with Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times, who joins us every single Friday to talk Seattle Seahawks. It's all brought to you by Georgetown Brewery, makers of Manny's Pale Ale, Bodie's Zaffa, Rogers Pilsner, and Georgetown's Tavern Beer. Tasting room and beer garden open daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Visit georgetownbeer.com. All right, Bob, on a Friday, it's a tradition. We start with the injury report. But I think the injury report is a little bit better on this Friday morning.
It is, yeah. As we obviously they don't play until Monday at 7, so some things can change as opposed to a little bit more as opposed to last time. But yeah, reading between the lines of what the injury report looked like yesterday, what Mike McDonald said, I think Derek Hall of the starting players is the one who may not make it. He was out again yesterday with an oblique. They had said it was week to week and kind of hinted it might be a couple weeks at the time. And they have a bye next week, so they might go ahead and be err on the side of caution with him. Everybody else, so the three guys. So basically, the main news is Devin Witherspoon and Julian Love were back to practice. We saw them actually when we got to watch just a tiny little bit, but we saw each of those guys. We saw Julian Love in particular run right by us on in pads onto the field, and then we saw Devin Witherspoon begin to do that right as we were right as our time to watch was ending. But we did see Devin Witherspoon in pads heading out there as well, and then we saw Riq Woolen out there in pads as well. So and then they listed, I think Woolen is full, and the other two guys is limited. This early in the week, that seems like a good sign that they're probably going to be able to get back into some capacity. Jaron Reed, who we saw get hurt at the end of the Jacksonville game, sounds like he's totally fine. He was listed as a full participant, and Josh Jones, backup the offensive lineman, he was back at least as well as limited. So, and with him, if you recall, he's missed 3 games, but they did not put him on IR with the hope that he would make it back within that 4-game span, and this would be the 4th game. So maybe they felt pretty confident all along that he could make it back for this game, given at that time it was actually, that game was on a Thursday and this game's on a Monday. So you had extra time on each side of that as well. So they might be hoping that might have been the thought all along was he'd get back. Otherwise, I don't think there was anybody else on there. There was the other guys that were on there were for rest related reasons, if I recall right. So so that would be a really good injury report for them, especially again if they can get Witherspoon and Julian Love back and Woolen. We'll see what that would mean with Woolen being back. But with the other two guys, I think for sure they slide right back into the starting lineup if they're back.
Well, you brought up Riq Woolen. You talked about it, or excuse me, you wrote about it in the paper, Seattle Times. Go get yourself a hard copy, seattletimes.com. Could the Houston game be the last game for Riq Woolen? NFL trade deadline, we don't talk about it as much as we talk about the Major League Baseball trade deadline. Although in the last few years, the NFL trade deadline has been phenomenal. I mean, there have been a bunch of trades. Could this potentially be the final game for Riq Woolen in a Seahawks uniform with the deadline looming on November 4th?
Yeah, I think it certainly could be. I think there's not that I ever doubted, when NFL Network dropped that thing a couple weeks ago that there was truth to that, but my understanding since then is that there definitely was truth to that. They definitely will entertain options for him and will let people know he's available, and so we'll see what happens there. He obviously is in the last year of his contract, and I don't think anybody thinks he'd probably be back next spring, so it makes sense to maybe try to get something for him. And then part of what I wrote today was them seeing Shaquille Griffin play a full game, I think gives them some confidence, some more that he can still do that at this age. He played a lot last year for Minnesota, so it's not like he hasn't been playing, but he if you recall, he had kind of a weird start to camp. He was gone for about 2 weeks for a personal issue. So he wasn't out there a lot then, but I think them being able to see him, again, play a full game, that gives him confidence. Confidence he can do it. They've obviously now Josh Jobe is essentially a starter if you get Witherspoon back. And then the other thing that's happened now is Nick Emenwari. I just really, he's really played well these last couple games, and I think that's going to now be, their nickel is going to be the big nickel with Emenwari, and that's going to be their predominant defensive alignment, and he's going to play a lot. And so if you have Witherspoon back, you're going to have Witherspoon and Jobe probably as your corners, and then you'd have Griffin or Darian Kendrick as your backup. So I think all that makes Woolen even easier to get rid of.
Is there something more there behind the scenes than just play on the field with why they'd want to entertain trading him?
Well, I mean, I think just what you've seen on the field, I don't think there's anything really behind the scenes. I mean, he's been a really durable guy. He's only missed a couple of games. He's fought through a lot of stuff. I don't think there's any issues with him that way. I think it's just the moments of unreliability on the field that we've seen. There's just been a few too many lapses that I think they hoped wouldn't occur anymore as they got to the stage of his career. And you saw them against in the San Francisco game. You've seen a few others. The San Francisco game is the most notable, obviously, kind of what happened at the end of that game. But the Arizona game, sticks out too. There were a couple of penalties in there, that the one touchdown catch. So it's just that I don't think there's, I don't think he's not like a bad guy or anything behind the scenes. None of that. It would just solely be a playing thing. And then again, the reality that I don't think either, I think at this point, I think it's that he's just not going to be back after this year. They're not going to sign him to the kind of contract he would want. I think he would want to hit given put it this way, the contract they would offer him, I don't think would be in his mind enough to sign without seeing what he could get in free agency. Mm-hmm. And I think I think he would go to free agency and want to see what he could get there. And, at that point, he would probably be gone. So I think it's more just that. Now the Seahawks could, I don't think they're going to just give him away. I think they would probably entertain the idea that he might get enough money in a free agent deal that he could get they could get maybe a third or fourth round pick as a comp pick, but you got to wait a year for that to happen. And then, and then there's other things that have to happen for you to get that as well. It's not, a complete guarantee. If you get an offer of something, a fifth round pick now for next year, then, you have that next year. You don't have to wait and see what he signs for and all that kind of stuff. So
what are the odds, Bob, let me interrupt. What are the odds they are involved in some bigger names that could be on the market? Obviously, there's two big names on the defensive line. That would be Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals.
I don't rule it out. I mean, John Schneider, the whole we're always involved in everything thing. I do think when it comes to guys who have some significant financial things, Jackson Smith-Njigba suddenly is going to be really expensive for them to keep. His price tag's not going down with every catch he's making. They have some things like that in the long term they're going to have to deal with. So they are going to have to make sure that anything they do like that, it was going to make sense for them, that they can fit into their overall financial structure. So, but I don't rule anything out. I don't rule out that they could get to a point where this is only something that's going to work out. If there's somebody else that's a rental, but hey, this is only going to work out for the rest of the year kind of thing. We've seen them do that before, and I could certainly see them do that. So for sure, I think they'll be active. I think they feel like they're in a position to win the NFC West. I mean, obviously, there's no reason at all to not think they can't win the NFC West. And when you see, suddenly today, Puka Nacua is not going to play Sunday for the Rams, and the 49ers just keep having injury issues. The Seahawks could be in first place by themselves at the end of the weekend, and going into the bye week, and feeling like, if we can make a tweak or two here, we can really be positioned well for this run the rest of the way. And the NFC West, the NFC seems wide open. disappointment, obviously. I mean, you see the Eagles struggling, and everybody's saying Tampa Bay is the best team in the NFC, and the Seahawks were a player or two away from beating them, and the Seahawks being 5-1 right now. So I rule out nothing when it comes to them.
Bob, can they maintain this level of play offensively, this type of imbalance that they currently are on?
Yeah, Sunday's going to be a really good test of that, because this might be the best set of cornerbacks they're going to have faced so far. And so it will be good. It will be interesting that way. And D'Amico Ryans and being a defensive coordinator, basically being a defensive coordinator, it'll be interesting to see if he's got a better idea of how to try to combat, especially the Darnold to Jackson Smith and Jigba tandem than other guys have had. At some point, you would think they're going to have to run the ball a little bit better. They have stayed really committed to it. I mean, it's amazing that they lead the NFL right now in run pass percentage. They've run it more often than any team in the NFL. It doesn't necessarily look like that when you watch their games, because they're not, generally teams that do that are gaining a lot of yards on the ground. They're kind of doing it because they're having success doing it. But to their credit that way, they are staying committed to it. They do it just well enough that other teams have to honor it, and then they are making that work in the play action game. But it's a really interesting test that way, because there's always been the theory of, does it matter how good your running game is to play action? Coaches will always say we have to run it a lot to be able to play action, but there's been some studies that have been like, really doesn't matter a whole lot if you pull off play action well enough, then just fool the defense regardless. Because they only play you once a year or whatever. They practice against all these other, and when they see it on the field, they just react a certain way maybe. So it'll be interesting to see that way. But I do think at some point they're going to have to run the ball a little bit better to keep playing at this level.
Well, it's going to be a hell of a test. I mean, I don't know how much people are paying attention to what the Houston Texans have done this year, especially on defense. This is without a doubt the best defense they've faced this year. I mean, they're number one in scoring. They're top 5 in total. I think they're top 5 against the run, against the pass. I mean, everything. Completion percentage against, I think they're top 3. I think they'll give it like 58%. I mean, this is a stingy defense. It'll be a low-scoring, like really physical defensive game on Monday.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be really fun that way to see. It will be a great matchup again of their defense versus Seattle's offense, and seeing exactly how that goes. Conversely, I think it'll be a really good one the other way too.
Sure.
I think this could be the people on the East Coast who are staying up to watch this game at 1 a.m. may not be super entertained from a touchdown scoring standpoint, because this could be a 13-10 kind of slugfest. But those can be really fun to watch. If you're into defense, and Seahawks fans obviously have grown accustomed to having really good defenses through the years. So I think it could be that kind of game, and where it comes down to who blinks first kind of thing. But I think it's a really good way for the Seahawks to go into a bye if they can win this game, and they can show that they can move the ball and score enough points to beat a team like Houston, and they get to 5-2. And again, going back to the trade deadline stuff, which is actually not until the 4th, so they'll have played another game before the trade deadline actually hits. But they'll have obviously this week off, to where I'm sure John Schneider will do nothing but kind of look around and see what's going on there around the rest of the league. I think that'll it'd be I think that would be a best case scenario for where you thought they might be when the season started, if they were 5-2 heading into this bye, and they could kind of look around and have some, they do have some flexibility with their salary cap. I mean, they've got some space for this year to make some moves, and they've obviously got some draft picks, and I think they can think about, we're a team for the now, right? And make some moves that way.
And guys, what Bob's trying to say, what he's trying to say about a low-scoring affair, what he's hinting at is take the under. It's 41.5. Take the under in the game coming up on Monday. And you're right. You said it earlier. I was going to touch on it. Boy, they've got a great opportunity because of that they play on Monday. You got the Sunday night game with the 49ers taking on the Falcons, and then earlier in the day it starts the very first game in the Rams and Jags in London. Seattle could very well be playing for first place there on the NFC West come Monday night. So this will be a great weekend of football, and I really think it's gonna be a sneaky fun game on Monday. Two very good defenses squaring off there on Monday Night Football. There he is. Last word, Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times. Follow him on social media, B. Condotta. His weekly appearance here on Puck Sports and the Daily Puck Drop, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery, makers of Manny's Pale Ale, Bodie's Zaffa, Rogers Pilsner, and Georgetown's new Tavern Beer. Tasting room and beer garden open daily, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Visit them at georgetownbeer.com. Enjoy your weekend, Bob, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
Okay. Yep. Thanks a lot, Jason.
Again, the Bob Condotta appearance with us every single Friday. The Last Word, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. Big thanks to Bob as the Seahawks and Texans get ready for their Monday night matchup, which is, again, we haven't talked a lot about the Seahawks and Texans this week because of what's going on with the Mariners. Do not be fooled by the Houston Texans record. This is the best defense that they have faced all year. They are fast. They are physical. Their front is dominating. And, I mean, they're holding opponents to, it's like, what did I just say? It's 12. I think it's 12.2 points or 13.2 points a game. I mean, this is going to be a hell of a test. They better get this running game in order because it'll be hard to beat a Texans team. Your defense may have to win this game on Monday, and I think that they will. That will be how they win because it'll be a low-scoring game, it feels like. Is they got to get away from being one-dimensional because right now, offensively, they're one-dimensional. All right, they're just, it's all pass. Despite them running the ball, I mean, as Bob said, they're committed to running it. They're just not running the ball effectively. So big thanks to Bob and Todd, part of our Friday Football Tailgate Show. Big thanks to our sponsors of the Friday Football Tailgate Show, Flat Stick Pub. Great spot to go after a high school football game, catch up on with some food. Great for the parents and the kids. There's games, activities, couple of pops on your way home. After the game on your way home. Great for college football. They got 1,000 TVs up there to watch not only the Cougs, but all of the games in college football. Great spot on Sundays for all the NFL action. And, of course, the Seahawks, the Mariners tonight or this afternoon. Great spot for great group events. Large, huge events for your work, family, friends, all of it at Flat Stick Pub and flatstickpub.com. And Georgetown Brewery, great spot, as always. Tasting room is open daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Grab yourself 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8 growlers before you hunker down this weekend to watch some football there from Georgetown Brewery. All right, before we go, we wrap up every show with Hey, What the Puck, which is brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. It is your restoration company that's going to take care of you in time of need. All right, lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when those damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917 or restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Series is down to 3 games. You all know that. It's 2-2. Yes, we had dreams of perhaps sweeping them, but it's still 2-2. It doesn't feel that way because of how the last 2 games have gone, obviously. But they win this afternoon. They go to Toronto, in which they've already won 2 games, which they've played well on the road this year, and they're up 3-2 with 2 opportunities to advance to their first ever World Series. Still think they've got the pitching staff to do it. It lines up perfectly with them to have Bryce Miller and to have Bryan Woo tonight. They'll have a lot of hands on deck. They'll treat this as a must-win, as they should. It's the offense that has to get it together. Randy Arozarena, Eugenio Suarez, J.P. Crawford, Dom Canzone. The bottom of that order and at the top has got to do something in this Game 5 this afternoon. Because you can't just rely every game on Cal or Julio or Josh Naylor to do something. Other guys have got to step up. They've been reliant all year long on the home run ball. They can't change it now. They are who they are. When they get guys on, they can't make base running mistakes. They can't get picked off at first base. They can't play sloppy baseball. And the last 2 games they played sloppy baseball. They've pitched sloppy. And then offensively, they're going up there and everyone is swinging for the fences. Have your patient approach that you've displayed at times this year. Take advantage of pitches that are delivered by Gausman, and then get on base. And then your home run hitters have got to do what they've done this year. Hit one out, 2-run, 3-run home run. Try to jump on them early, even though that hasn't worked in the last 2 games. Not all is lost, all right? One thing about the Mariners this year that they've always shown, when their backs are up against a wall, when everyone writes them off, they have responded. We'll see if they can do that in Game 5 here this afternoon over at T-Mobile. That's What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. Again, your restoration company lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, mold damage with their property restoration services. 206-817-8917. Visit them at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Big thanks to everybody watching and listening today. Thank you to all our sponsors, Limback Lumber, Flat Stick Pub, Georgetown Brewery, gym sponsors, by the way, Clean Streak, Brotherton Cadillac, and the Angry Beaver. Today's Daily Puck Drop, find it up on YouTube. Please subscribe and like the channel when you're there. Also find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms as well, specifically Apple and Spotify. And you can find everything at pucksports.com, including where you can sign up to become a member of the Pucks Posse. You support everything we do here daily on Puck Sports. In addition, we give you bonus shows every single week. All right. Everybody enjoy your Friday. Hopefully Monday we're talking about a team that has advanced to the World Series or is getting set for Game 7. Go M's. We'll see you Monday. As always, promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you, but you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!